Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel, Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If we're meeting for the first time, I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I do this through one-on-one angel sessions, soul mentoring, and a variety of classes designed to inspire your spirit. But for now, the angels and I, we are here to help you come into a beautiful state of rest. This podcast is an unlikely mashup of two of my favorite forms of self-care: connecting with the angels and listening to sleep podcasts. Connecting with the angels is something I really do every day of my life. I love experiencing the world through the lens, through the knowingness that this universe is filled with great love for me and for you too. And that when we connect with the angels, we get even more of that divine love flowing to us because the angels meet us where we are. To connect with the angels, we don't have to become something more than we are. We don't have to reach a high peak of consciousness. We can simply say, hey angels, send me a sign. Help me remember who I am. And the angels love being invited forward. And then the other self-care tool that I use every single night is listening to a sleep podcast. I love, love, love the ritual of getting ready for bed. And I curl up in bed and I cozy on up. And I put in my earbuds and I pick an episode of a podcast to listen to. And it is my love of both of these forms of self-care that Sleepy Bedtime Blessings has been born. This is my 87th episode. It's remarkable. And I love this sanctuary we co-create together. This is a sweet and loving space for you. And as I was getting ready to record this broadcast, I could feel these beautiful, calming and soothing waves of energy flowing in from the angels. These frequencies are very compatible with our sleep state. So I want to invite you to get comfortable in your body and to snuggle on in, cozy on up. Or if you're listening during the daytime and you're not planning on going to sleep, then just take a big breath in to your beautiful body temple. And with your permission, the angels will bring their energy more closely to you. And I absolutely love the ritual of calling the angels in, even though they are already here. But I invite you to open your heart as I ask them to join us. As we take a deep breath in, calling ourselves forward into the heart of God. And beautiful angels on high, I invite you to join us here. And even as I speak these words, I am aware that you are inviting us to meet you in this beautiful place of divine sanctuary. And angels, I thank you for the invitation to this sacred gathering of light. I ask that you clear our energy fields through the heart of God, clearing away anything that does not belong to us, anything that no longer serves. And angels, I ask that you send blessings of love to each of our beloveds listening to this message. And dear ones, just take a nice deep breath in. And if you happen to be hearing any ambient noise, just let it go. For some reason, right now, my neighborhood is a little bit noisy, but it will soon get quieter. And imagine, if you will, allow it to be so that the angels, your beautiful team of angels who love you so, they are bringing calming and soothing, loving energy to you. Sometimes I find it easier to picture this as a soft pink light. And so just imagine the space you're in being filled with this beautiful pink light that has been calibrated just for you. You see, your angels and God, they know where you are in your life at this exact breath. They know what is in your heart. They know what is in your consciousness. And they are here to help love and support you. So just allow a wave of calming and soothing energy to pour across your body. Allow this attunement to also calm your nervous system, your thoughts, your emotions, to help you come into a deeper state of nourishing rest. You have done enough for this day. And you are worthy of drifting off into that beautiful mystery of sleep. So as you find your way into sleep, I want to share with you a tool that I learned at the University of Santa Monica. It's something they call a bedtime intention. The premise is that time before we go to sleep, it is a powerful time to set our intentions, to say our prayers, to invite in God and the angels, because as we are in the astral realm during our sleep cycle, it is a wonderful time to heal and clear and to gain clarity, connect with inspiration. And so what it can look or feel like is just before you're ready to drift off, you launch your prayer. And it might sound something like this. God and angels, I ask that as I sleep, you help to clear out my patterns of, and fill in the blank, my patterns of fear. I ask that you help clear out my worry, whatever it is that is up for healing or clearing for you. And I ask that as I sleep, you connect me with inspiration and love so that I can awaken in the morning with a sense of balance and peace. So in that prayer, you insert what it is you seek to experience. And I find Bedtime Intentions to be so powerful. I often use them if I'm not sure what kinds of classes to offer, even what to talk about in a podcast episode. I go to sleep and I say, okay, angels, show me or help me know what to offer as far as my next class or what I should talk about in the podcast. And almost always the next day or the day after, I have an awareness or a shift in consciousness. It's one of the reasons that I love sleep podcasts so much is, for me, they help me unplug from the day-to-day jibber-jabber of the mind into an intentional stream of focus. So let's do one together. Bedtime Intentions. Hello, angels. Beautiful ones, just take a nice big breath in. The angels are here. All right, angels, beautiful angels. God, I ask that you clear from me now anything that no longer serves. And while I sleep, help me connect with inspiration and divine movement and understanding, that I awaken in the morning feeling refreshed and on purpose and even more of who I am. And dear ones, just take a nice deep breath in, allowing it to be so. And you can always put your own prayers and intentions into the circle as well. And take a nice deep breath in, allowing the blessing of God to meet you where you are. You, my friend, are a beloved in this universe. You are a gift from on high. And I affirm that you are blossoming open to new experiences, new adventures that will delight your spirit. And just take a breath in. You know, prayers can sometimes be about solving problems. But prayers can also be about opening to the beauty, the adventure, the love, the inspiration of this world. Right? A prayer, God, help me to see the beauty of this world. God, help me to live a life that feels on purpose, filled with authentic fulfillment and happiness. God, help me to infuse even more love into this world. God, help me live my way into beautiful, brighter tomorrows. And just take a nice deep breath in, allowing your angels to love you. And so you can drift off whenever you're ready. If you're still wide awake, it's no worry. We're going to be together for about an hour. And if for some reason you're still wide awake at the end of the episode, good news, there are 86 other episodes that you can listen to. So the angels and I are here. We're going to keep you company. We're going to be a loving and soothing presence for you as you rest. This world is filled with so much love for you, and this podcast is but one portal through which this love flows. So breathe in love. Remember to let your body receive this love too. And while you do, I thank God for the gift of you. So you rest. And while you rest, I'm going to tell you a story. So, the story I want to share with you is a recent one. As some of you know, I recently participated in a training with Mike Dooley, who you might know from Tut Messages from the Universe, and also a lot of his other books and his podcast. He's a wonderful, inspirational author and teacher. And he recently facilitated his program, Infinite Possibilities, a training to certify us as trainers. And when the email came through my inbox, I just immediately got a yes. And I've learned to listen to these yeses. And oftentimes when these yeses come in, I may or may not be fully aware of why the yes has arrived. But the yes came through, and I negotiated with it. The program required an investment of money, and I was being practical, and I was like, I don't know. But the yes continued to dwell. And I chose it. I said, okay. And as soon as I said, okay, my entire beingness lit up. I love when that happens. You know, sometimes we just need to take the leap of faith and know that we're being guided somewhere beautiful. And it was a wonderful training. I'm still assimilating it. But there are definitely some takeaways I thought I could share with you that are sleep podcast appropriate. So you don't have to get out a notebook. I'm not going to teach you deep concepts that you need to be awake for. I'm just more going to share with you about what my journey has been so far with the program and some of how I'm synthesizing what I've learned. And again, this is a sleep podcast, so I'm going to be rambling a bit. I have no illusions that this is going to be linear and follow an outline. Rather, I'm just going to share with you different snippets of awareness that I've had over the past 2 weeks as a result of this experience. So, I'm going to start off talking about my comfort zone. I love my comfort zone. I'm a Taurus, which means I typically don't like change. I like comfort. I like home base. And my life is really built around my comfort zone. I'm fortunate that my comfort zone is rather big. So my comfort zone includes teaching people, meeting new people as a practitioner, being on social media, having a lovely social group of friends, being in a lovely marriage. So my comfort zone's pretty good. You know what isn't in my comfort zone? Meeting new groups of people. I get weird social anxiety. Not anxiety might be too strong a word for it, but I do not enjoy being in a room full of people who don't know who I am. I don't mean this in an egoic way. Like, I'm okay being in a room full of people who know me. It doesn't mean they have to shower me with attention, but when I'm in a room of people who know me, who know who I am, there's a part of me that feels relieved. Like I don't have to try to figure out where I fit in the hierarchy of this group. And I have to say, this is a really primal experience. It's almost anthropological. You know, if you think of a wolf pack, how each wolf knows their place within the pack, that's almost how it feels for me. So when I enter a room, even if it's a virtual room of all brand new people, I feel a little wonky. It's like, who am I in this room? So entering into this beautiful virtual community, I think there might have been 200 of us in the virtual room. I'm fortunate my friend Helen also joined, so I knew one person in the room, and we texted each other all of the weekend. But I shared with Helen how hard it was for me to be in the room and be in the smaller groups and feel this sense of unease. Like, how are people going to see me? Am I fitting in? It's so old. I can't even tell you when I think it really showed up for me in my life. I think I must have been in 5th or 6th grade when I first painfully became aware of this social hierarchy, anxiousness that I embody. Okay, who do I fit in with? Am I in with the cool kids? Am I not in with the cool kids? Do these people know who I am? Are they going to want to get to know me? It's so interesting how it shows up. I'm 60 years old, and just when I think I'm done with this, it shows up again. And I sit there and I am so gentle with my inner child, and I'm like, honey, it's okay. So I share this with you, not because it made it a bad experience. I had a wonderful time at the training. I just share it with you because I know those of you who know me and have taken classes with me, you may perceive me as very confident and I get along well with people and I'm gregarious, and all of those things are true. And I also am someone who feels unsettled going into these kinds of new social experiences. So if you're uncomfortable with those things, me too. Me too. But you know what? We have to go into them in order to expand our bubbles. Every time I have gone into a group like this, uncomfortable, at some point, my comfort level expands, and all of a sudden, this group is part of my subset of comfort. So I just want to tell you that. If there's some big adventure or something, some group you're thinking of joining and you're uncomfortable joining because all of your old social anxiety comes up, I think that's just a part of our anthropological makeup, and just go through it anyways and let your comfort bubble expand, because there are new adventures waiting for you on the other side. So that's the first thing I want to reflect to you, is I was feeling kind of off kilter because I'm used to, especially over the past 3 years, as the pandemic, I only spend time in environments that I'm comfortable in. So when I teach a Zoom class or on the phone with a friend, I know who I am there. I know my role. I know I am there. I know how I fit into the puzzle, and that's comfort for me. So when I go into this new environment, the energy's different and all new people, I'm a little wonky. And that's okay, because often walking through those kinds of gateways lead to the most amazing adventures. So Mike is a wonderful teacher. The whole program was well produced. Mike took us through the Infinite Possibilities workbook and shared with us the main concepts of the program. And then there were other speakers, and the way the program works is if you attend all of the presentations, you then become an Infinite Possibilities certified trainer. And then once you teach your first class, 6 people for 6 hours, you become what's known as a trailblazer, which means you have taught your first class and will be teaching more. One of the things that I love so much about the program is that it creates a path forward for stepping into these teachings and this work as ourselves. And I have always responded really well to these kinds of programs. One of the reasons I was able to launch Illuminating Souls and step forward as an angelic practitioner is because of the amazing training I received from Doreen Virtue back when she was still teaching about the angels. She had her angel therapy practitioner training, and a huge component of that was teaching us how to do this work professionally. At the time, she had way more requests for readings than she could ever fulfill. And so she trained all of us to go out into the world and also do readings. And as part of the training, she would always have an alumni panel where people who were already doing this work professionally would come in and talk to the students. And that really inspired my heart because it showed me a path forward. And also, she had another class called Spiritual Teachers Training. It was a 3-day class, as I recall, a small group. I think there were 27 of us. And she basically downloaded 3D information about how to run a spiritual business. This is what a workshop is. This is how you put together a class. This is how you create a flyer. This is how you give a presentation. And all of that was new information to me because I had always worked for corporations. So I didn't really know how to run a business like this, and I learned so much from her. That class is actually, in part, what inspires the business trainings that I offer now. Because I want to help you do this work as well if that is your calling. And then after I did her trainings, I got to join her message board. This was before social media. And at the time that I joined the message board, the alumni group was very active, and people were very generous in mentoring the new practitioners. So when I went to my first metaphysical fair, I asked people for ideas on how to set up the booth, and all these different people responded and sent me suggestions and pictures. And so I learned not only from Doreen as a teacher, but I learned from the community. And it really gave me my wings in stepping forward with my own business. Now, just as an aside, if you're just hearing about Doreen Virtue right now and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go look her up. She taught Laurel. I want to learn more about her. Don't do it. She has taken a 180-degree turn, and she now is an evangelical Christian, and she has completely revoked, walked back, rescinded all of her earlier teachings. And so she is on a very biblical path now. So if you love the idea of the angels and metaphysics and you go visit her, it may feel very confusing to you. So I just can reflect to you who she was to me as a teacher back in the day. I also learned so much similarly, but not as focused, from the University of Santa Monica. So I've always been someone who really thrives when I am a part of a beautiful, active, inspired community. And that was something that really drew me into infinite possibilities. I don't know about you, but the last few years have been different. It's not that I haven't found inspiration. Certainly I have. But I certainly haven't found a group that I could throw in with that would provide me with some of the social, emotional, and business nourishment that I was seeking. I don't know if any of you are familiar with human design. It's a fascinating modality. It's a blend of, I think, astrology and I Ching and some other things. It's channeled. One of the things is, and just so you know, if you do human design, please forgive me because I'm going to do a terrible job of describing it. So just know I recognize that right away. But with human design, there are 6 archetypes or personality types. And again, this is all based on your birth date and place and time. And mine is what is called a projector. And a projector is someone that, I don't know, the best way I would describe it, it's like when it comes to creation, we don't necessarily have our own pilot light. Like, I'm not a great self-starter. I don't know that I have the best archetype to be a solo entrepreneur. I actually do best when I am invited to participate with a team. I'm a great team member. So when I belong to a community that is already in its vibrancy and vitality, I thrive because the engine is already ignited. So I do well when I can participate in a beautiful, vibrant group. That was my truth at USM, was my truth when I was an angel therapy practitioner. And so part of what really drew me into the Infinite Possibilities program was getting to be a part of this engine that already existed. Mike had these teachings. The teachings definitely are harmonious with what I already believe and teach. There's a beautiful, vibrant community, and this program is set up to help us step out and be facilitators. Like it hit all of the notes for me. And I think with any of these programs, any kind of spiritual journey, I always feel that it's important that we discern what we're learning and bring it through our filters. Because what I have found over the years is I may embody a teaching differently than you might. Right? If we were all going to gather together and each of us were going to teach a class in forgiveness, we would all have powerful insight to share, and it might come through each one of us differently. And also I will share that if you're someone who regularly listens to this podcast, you likely have explored many of the themes and infinite possibilities already. You know, the things that we hear all the time, your thoughts create your reality. Your belief systems are important to taking inspired action. I would be surprised if any of this is new information to you. But as one of my teachers says, she says, it is one thing to learn a spiritual principle, but it can take a lifetime or lifetimes to learn to embody it. And I think so many of these spiritual principles, they deserve to be reviewed throughout our lifetime because we will experience it and embody it differently depending on where we are. And that's a little bit of what I want to share with you here. So one of the teachings, it's one of the primary focal points of infinite possibilities is what Mike writes as thoughts become things. Another way of speaking of this is our thoughts become our reality. Now, I believe this is a powerful premise. I believe that it has truth, and I've been doing this work professionally now since 2006. And I also know that teachings like this can get weaponized. Now, I don't believe Mike weaponizes this, so this is not where this is going. But when we hear our thoughts become a reality, our thoughts create a reality, there's this guilt and shame cycle that can show up, like, what am I doing wrong? And I also remember the scene in The Secret. I don't know how many of you saw that. And it's like your thoughts create your reality, and it's a picture of someone visualizing themselves driving an expensive foreign sports car. As if it's that simple. And it's not. It can be very complicated. But I want to share with you the way I metabolize that teaching, because maybe it will help you in that. So again, this is my opinion. This is my perception. This is what the angels have told me. It's what I believe. First off, I have to say, I believe there's a randomness to life. I believe storms happen. Right? When there's a hurricane or a tornado or some kind of cataclysmic event, I don't believe that people are caught up in it because they weren't thinking positive thoughts. I think storms happen. And I think there is a randomness to life. So if you're in the middle of a really difficult cycle, I don't think it means that your thoughts aren't positive enough. I think we all go through a roller coaster of life where we're at the height and we're in the doldrums. I believe all of that is true. And I don't believe it's because your thoughts are not good enough. So take a big breath. Let's just start there. But then you might be saying, but Laurel, then what is it? How do we apply it? Well, I want to share with you one of my huge shifts that I experienced in my life that can be reflected in this teaching. So your thoughts help shift your narrative, your belief structure, how you fit, how you belong, who you are. So as I shared with you in a number of the different podcasts, including the last one, I had a 7-year period that was kind of rough. It wasn't that it was, cataclysmic. I didn't have something horrible happen, but I got really lost in who I was. I was ticking all the boxes. I had a good job. I had good friends. But I wasn't happy, and I wasn't happy with who I was. There's a line in a David Wilcox song that I have shared with you before, and it says, "There's a break in the cup that holds love inside of me." And I just would cry when I heard that lyric, because I thought that's true. That if people around me were loving me, I felt the love. But when I was alone in my own skin, I felt the absence of it. And when I went to the University of Santa Monica, that first night of class, they go over some main tenets of the program, and they say, we're going to ask that you just believe in these tenets for now. It's going to help us move through things more quickly. One of the thoughts, one of the tenets, is that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. Now, I know you've heard some version of that. USM did not invent that adage. But when I started contemplating it for myself, I recognized that I had really perceived myself as a person with a soul. And this soul was this mystical thing, and that what I thought is once I die, whenever that's going to be, I get reunited with my soul. Like I get to go home to God. I get to be reunited with love. I get to be reunited with the wholeness of me. But until then, I'm kind of hanging out the next 40 years with this subset of me that is Laurel. Wasn't a very appealing belief system. But as I went through University of Santa Monica and these teachings of you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and as such, you are whole and complete. You are filled with wisdom and love and light. And I began having different experiences, and I contemplated myself and my place in the world differently as a result. And my belief system profoundly began to shift, as well as the way I identified myself and my place in this world. So thoughts become things. So I was living for a long, long time with the thought, the belief, that I was my flaws, that once I lost the weight, once I met my man, once I got married, once I had my house, then I would be fulfilled. But until then, I was living half a life, and I was not complete. And I was in a perpetual space of grief about the state of my life. So during that time of being at USM and having many, many opportunities to contemplate this shift. So what does it mean if I am a divine being in human form? What does it mean if I am already whole and complete and there are just aspects of me that have forgotten? What does it mean if I am filled with magic and wisdom and love and light? What if that is the truth of me? And I found that I began to blossom open. I found that I began to see myself through different eyes. Another huge shift that happened to me, this would have been somewhere around 2004, is I became very aware over those first few years of my USM journey of experiencing deep homesickness. And those of you who also feel it will understand it was homesickness for my life beyond this realm. Not homesickness for Skokie. Homesickness for God. Homesickness for the expanded consciousness of spirit. For that compassion and love and light that I knew was at my truth and my core, but was so hard to access here. And I would get in the shower and I would cry about my homesickness. And one day the angels came to me. They said, part of the problem here is you have it wired that you can't have a life here that feels like home. What we recommend is that you adopt a new perspective. Ask God, say, God, help me create a life here that feels like home. I thought, well, that's smart. Oh, okay, I'll try. Hey, God, I was probably crying at the time. God, God, please help me create a life here that feels like home. And so then whenever I would feel the homesickness, I would convert that to a prayer of, God, help me create a life here that feels like home. And I don't want to fill you with false hope that the next day I felt like I was home. It took time because we're in a linear realm and sometimes these shifts take time. But I will say that I lived my way into a life that feels like home. And I rarely get homesick anymore. This life that I'm living is a beautiful life, and I feel God and the angels with me all the time. I get to know all of you. I have a lovely, wonderful life with my husband. I feel comfortable in my own skin. And so that was another example of thoughts become things. If I'm homesick, I'm homesick, I'm homesick. I don't get to go home until I die. Well, that was a hard belief to live with versus God, help me create a life here that feels like home. Oh, there's space in there. There's a place for miracles there. There's an invitation to embody change. And so as I was sitting with the teaching of thoughts become things, I really took a deep dive with it. And for me, that teaching is really about the narrative and the beliefs that we embody about ourselves and about this world. So listen, the world is a rough place sometimes, especially right now, right? We can all sit around and maybe talk about how things are a dumpster fire, and we'll be right. But you know what? We can also sit around and talk about how beautiful this world is. And we can each sit in our backyards and point out the things that are so beautiful. We can look in our lives and talk about the things that we find exquisite. See, this world is complicated and it's many, many things. And Just like when you look through a kaleidoscope, it can get fragmented in so many ways, and we can hyperfixate on certain fragments in ways that do not support our well-being. And what I love so much about Infinite Possibilities, the program, is it's an invitation to take that deep, big breath in and say, okay, I am going to carve out some time and space to explore how I am holding for my journey in consciousness. What stories, what narratives have I been telling about my life and about the world? And what am I guided to upgrade and update? And that's one of the things I love so much about these teachings. And it's why I'm so clear on it's really important how we approach it. I don't ever want to teach these in any kind of way that would cause you to weaponize them against yourself, right? Listen, there are dreams that every single one of us have been holding in our hearts for a long time that may or may not have come true. I have mine. It's a story for another day. And I could look at these things and think, what are my hidden beliefs and why is it not happening? But you know what? There's certain things in life we just make peace with. It is what it is. Start here, when you start a board game. Start here. And I look for the things over which I do have influence, which I do have dominion over. I look for the low-hanging fruit. I look for the things that inspire my heart. I look for the things that are big, bright yeses within me. Because at the end of the day, all of us, you and me, we are divine beings in human form. And we have this extraordinary consciousness that is ever evolving. And there are always access points where we can infuse more light into how we are experiencing the world. And so this is what I want to share with you. So I got to be a student again. And I got to meet an extraordinary group of people. And I have this invitation now to explore how I'm holding for my journey in consciousness through a different lens, which I think is healthy. I always appreciate an opportunity to do this. I don't think this is a one-time only experience. I think something like this is probably a good practice every year or 2 years or something, So what's on my docket now as far as life goes, and what are my thoughts and belief systems that I'm experiencing? Where can I use some more support from the angels and from community? So I just want you to know that I believe in you. And I love you. And I thank God for the gift of you. You are a divine being in human form. And as such, you are whole and complete. You are filled with the wisdom of the ages. You are a source of divine love in this world. The world is better because you are here. And if it resonates for you, I affirm that God is helping you create a life here that feels like home for you, where you are loved and supported, you feel fulfilled, and you are feeling on purpose in a way that delights your spirit. So I am holding you in prayer, I am holding you in joy, and I am holding you in love. So you rest well, and know your angels are watching over you, and if you would like some more company, you can always queue up another episode. But for now, the angels and I bid you sweet dreams. We'll speak soon. I love you and thank you for being you.